Okay, so this is States of Consciousness, Unit 5. This is video 4, looking at psychoactive drugs. So, what is a psychoactive drug? These are chemical substances that alter your perception, your mood, your behavior through actions at the neural synapse. So, this is an altered state of consciousness. It induces an altered state of consciousness. And there are 3 different categories that we're going to look at today: depressants, stimulants, and hallucinogens. Basic terms you need to know for psychoactive drug. The first one is tolerance. Tolerance is the reduced responsiveness to a drug, prompting the use of larger doses to achieve the same pleasurable effects previously attained by a smaller doses. So, in other words, with repeated exposure to the psychoactive drug, the drug effect lessens. Thus, it takes a bigger dose to get the same desired effect. As the user's brain adapts its chemistry to offset the drug effects, this is known as neural adaptation. So you can see your little image here. Image day 1, he's taking 1 pill to get a relief or a high. And then it takes him on day 12, it takes him 3 or 4 pills to get the same high because he's built a tolerance. Addiction is another term you need to know. Addiction is a compulsive craving for a substance, despite the adverse consequences and often the physical symptoms such as aches, nausea, distress, followed by a sudden withdrawal. 90 million people suffer from such problems related to alcohol and other drugs. Addiction doesn't just have to be a substance. It could be things like gambling can be an addiction, internet can be an addiction. Those can be different types of addictions as well. What does it mean to have a withdrawal? Withdrawal is known as a discomfort and distress that follows when a person who is dependent on a drug discontinues the use of the drug. So you could have physical dependence and physical withdrawals, or psychological dependence and psychological withdrawals. Physical means you may feel physical pain and intense craving with your body. And psychological is emotional, mental, or stressful experiences that you might psychologically or mentally think. There's a whole list of psychological and physical examples of withdrawal as well. So here's the drug classifications. Drugs are classified as depressants, stimulants, and hallucinogens. Depressants are known as drugs that reduce neural activity and slow your body functions. The examples of the different drugs under depressants are alcohol, barbiturates, and opiates. Stimulants are drugs known to temporarily excite neural activity and arouse your body functions, often used to stay awake, lose weight, or boost mood performance. Methamphetamines, meth, ecstasy, also a hallucinogen category as well, and caffeine and nicotine are various stimulants. And then hallucinogens are known to distort perceptions and invoke sensory images in the absence of the sensory input. So LSD and marijuana are 2 hallucinogens. Also, ecstasy can also fall under a hallucinogen as well. So know the 3 different categories and the classifications, and know examples of the different drugs in those classifications. So first one, a lot of information. You do need to know a lot of this information on alcohol. Alcohol, remember, is a depressant. It impairs the parts of the body responsible for controlling inhibitions and making judgments. It's always a depressant, no matter if you take a ton or a little. It slows your neural processing down. Studies have shown that alcohol impairs memory by suppressing processing of events in long-term memory. It reduces your self-awareness. You're unaware of events may take place. It's found in beer, wine, and liquor. It's the second most used psychoactive drug. Caffeine is actually the most used. If your blood alcohol content is the BAC, they measure how much blood is actually in your bloodstream. 0.8 is considered the legal intoxication in most states for anyone over the age of 21. Again, it slows down your neural processing. It's slowing your sympathetic nervous system, it slurs your speech, and it slows your thinking and impairs physical activity. Barbiturates is another depressant. Barbiturate drugs are tranquilizers. They try and mimic the effect of alcohol. They're depressants used for sedating, and they help distress your nervous system. Nubuterol is an induced sleep or reduced anxiety, and in large doses, it impairs your memory and your judgment. Another depressant is opium. Opium depresses your neural activity. It temporarily lessens pain and anxiety. There can be forms of heroin and morphine. Your pupils begin to constrict, your breathing slows down, and you become lethargic. Short term, you may feel pleasure, but then it causes you to start craving more. When flooding the brain with opiates, your brain stops producing its own form of endorphins, and over time, again, this can become deadly. Methamphetamines are drugs that stimulate your neural activity. So now we switch categories. These are all stimulants. They speed up your body. It increases your energy, your mood change. It includes things like types of speed, uppers, ecstasy, and methamphetamines. It mimics adrenaline, so that power and that huge boost of energy you get. It causes irreversible changes in moods. Methamphetamine is also a stimulant. It triggers the release of dopamine, which stimulates brain cells for energy and mood. The euphoria, which is the excitement, lasts about 8 to 10 hours. It may actually reduce your amount of dopamine that's released, which can cause you over time to have depression. It is known as the most dangerous drug, and it physically begins to deteriorate your body. Cocaine is another stimulant. It's a stimulant that quickly enters your bloodstream and depletes the body's natural neurotransmitter dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. It's often a fast track to euphoria and then a quick crash as well. It could be sniffed, snorted, injected, and smoked. It oftentimes blocks a lot of neural activity that takes place, and dependency is quick and severe, and it strains your cardiovascular system. Caffeine is the world's most widely consumed psychoactive drug. Provides users with a sense of increased energy, mental alertness, and forced wakefulness. Depending on your dosage, it can last about 3 to 4 hours. It's found in coffee, chocolate, tea, and some soft drinks. The last stimulant we're going to talk about is nicotine. Nicotine is a stimulant that stimulates the central nervous system to release neurotransmitters that calm anxiety and reduce sensitivity to pain. There are 250 million packs that are consumed worldwide, which actually consumes about 10,000 gruesome deaths. Stimulants are found in tobacco. There are 5.4 million users a year, and its effects are similar to caffeine. The last stimulant is ecstasy, also known as MDMA. Can also be found as an hallucinogen. It lowers inhibitions, your pleasant feelings, and it has a greater acceptance for others when you consume it. It triggers the release of dopamine, and it blocks the reabsorption of certain neurotransmitters. The high usually lasts about 3 to 4 hours. It can cause dehydrating effects. Its long-term effects on serotonin, which make you happy, and it could also cause permanent brain damage. Hallucinogens. What are hallucinogens? You see things, hear things that aren't there. LSD is a powerful hallucinogen, also known as acid. It causes you to see various shapes and colors. It creates sensory images that are not present. Marijuana is also a hallucinogen that disrupts your memory and creates lung damage. It comes from leaves, stems, resin, flowers, and a form of hemp that when smoked, it lowers your inhibitions and produces feelings of relaxation and mild euphoria, but it does slow your system down. THC is the active ingredient. So you might want to, again, freeze this and copy this chart down. Again, you really need to know all the different drugs listed here and the category in which they fall in. And it would be a good idea to know the type of effects it causes you, okay? In terms of, is it a stimulant? Does it speed up your system or does it slow you down?